I'm here today with my friend Kevin. How are you doing today, Kevin?
Very well, thanks, Ryan. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. So Kevin is the deputy director here at the museum, which means he does a lot of things, but one of the things that he does quite a bit is work with our archaeological collection. What exactly is archaeology?
Archaeology. It's a big word, I know. Many people think, when they first think of it, oh, that's, you dig dinosaurs, right? And I have to often say, no, we don't hang out with these guys and dig up their bones. First of all, they're not found in Wisconsin, and we're not dealing with millions of years of history here. Humans have only been around really as a species for about 200,000 years, so we're in the thousands of years category. This Stegosaurus, though, was made out of plastic, and it is a toy made by people, so it could be an artifact. So really, archaeology is the stuff made and used by humans. And so what we have on the table is an example of that. So we find them in different capacities. It could be underground, so we excavate where we know there might be sites where humans have lived over time. It could be underwater, where shipwrecks are, or sites have been submerged. It could be under volcanic ash, like in Pompeii. So sites where humans have lived around the world for thousands of years is what we're interested in. So Ryan, what we have on the table are a variety of different things. Things we call artifacts, and a fancy word is material culture. So the material is the stuff that is made from natural resources, and culture part of that is how humans in different cultures around the world and through time have used those objects in daily life. So from the oldest pieces on the table, and these are out on the table because they're going to be put on public exhibition soon in our core gallery that's being renovated. And this time we're looking at site specific, so a particular place, and a lot of this is from northeast Wisconsin, and then how people have lived there. So we have things from like pottery sherds. So think of a cooking pot that Native Americans would have used and cooked with. And we call them, there's different time periods, but before Europeans arrived here in the late 1600s, the French first came here to Green Bay. We have a number of Native American tribes that lived here, and what they left behind is what we're analyzing and understanding what life was like for them, what they ate, where they lived. Over time, humans have lived on top of that landscape, and we've got things that are mixed into that. So we have crockery that's 100 years old, or the piece of pottery from the Oneota people, the Oneota culture, that's 1,000 years old, made with shell inside of it. So all of that we have to tease apart, and that's where good archaeology comes in, where we have to layer by layer understand occupation levels. So for instance, another thing that people recognize, they might see this and like, oh, that's just an old pitchfork. Well, it's true, but it comes from a site that the public helped excavate a couple of years ago near Barkhausen on the shore of Green Bay. From the analysis, from the paperwork, from the deeds, things like that, we can understand who lived in this house and started this farmstead. And it was actually, his name was Ernest Schmitz. He came here from Germany in 1867, started raising a family in 1888. They have 100 or so acres of land on the southwest shore of Green Bay, and are raising a family. And they had children and dairy cows, and really from 1888 to 1940s is when they had this farmstead and raised a family, and then it became public land as part of now it's called Fort Howard Wildlife Area. So things like that are in the ground, and we're understanding what life was like at the turn of the century, making an existence on a very difficult landscape that kept flooding because of the bay. Here's somebody's shoe from the family. This is a leather boot. Leather doesn't preserve often very well, but we're lucky to have this from the early 20th century. Other sites that we're working with and the public get to find and excavate, a 10-year-old boy found this tile at the site of Bayshore County Park. This is a floor tile from a very interesting part of Green Bay Packer history. Of course, in Green Bay, we have to talk about that team. And we have a site called Rockwood Lodge that we've now identified over the years, and the public are helping identify. This is where the team had a self-contained training facility where the team members would come up in the late 1940s up to the north side of Brown County on the shore under Curly Lambeau, and between 1946 until when it burned down in January of 1950, we have artifacts from this period. And so here's, of course, an insulator from when we think actually how the building burned down. It was this massive castle-like structure, and it was likely faulty wiring that caused the fire. And here we actually have some of that, and you can see charred remains on it. So we're finding these pieces of evidence that talk about the history that was written in the newspaper articles at the time. We can see the photographs from these periods when we're talking about historic archaeology, but pre-contact or pre-European, before written records, we have to really rely on the material culture, the artifacts, to tell those stories and fill in the gaps.
So if I want to learn more about archaeology, what should I do? What resources are there available to me right now?
Well, museums are a great place to start, right? So we have the artifacts, we have expertise, things like that on exhibit that you can come and see. We'll actually have a dig pit that you can excavate whenever you visit the museum when we open the new gallery. The other thing, of course, we have a program called Archaeology, Archaeology in the Parks with Brown County Parks. So twice a year in spring and fall, so May and September, we are going around to different parks, and the public can be involved and help find and document these artifacts and record them for future preservation and understanding for the parks. Of course, there's the internet. Everything is on the internet, and you can learn a lot about that from all over the world, different archaeological sites. There's a number of great magazines. Archaeology magazine is available out there that really is a wonderful resource to learn about different archaeological sites around the world too. So I would say it starts really with curiosity of finding an object that many of you probably have dug in the ground and found maybe something and you're not sure what it is. You can look online, but you could take it to the museum or take a picture of it and you can send it to me here at the Neville, and I often identify artifacts for the public. But archaeology is everywhere, and we're just one part of that jigsaw puzzle. And what we leave behind is going to be a record trail for somebody in the future to understand what our life was like in the 21st century.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me today, Kevin.
My pleasure, Ryan.
And if you want to learn more, you can always check out our other Museum Minute videos and check out more information on the museum's website. Thanks a lot.